It's time to pull those belts tight, race fans. The front stretch is coming at you, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Dirk Houston.
Well, good morning to you, race fans, and welcome to the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. Fast-paced white-knuckle racing just across the river on 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs. Get over to Joe's Karting today, and we've talked about it with Buddy Ray a couple of weeks ago. The new Joe's Karting Racing Parts and Tire store set to be opening up soon. You can talk to Buddy Ray about that and get your parts ordered for the 2018 race season. The best thing about that is that they're going to be open late, so they'll be open. The parts store will be open as long as there is races running at Joe's Karting, Monday through Thursday. Right now they close at 10 o'clock, and then on Saturday and Sunday they close at 11 o'clock with 8 o'clock on, let me back up. Monday through Thursday they close at 10 o'clock. Friday and Saturday, they close at 11 o'clock, and they're closing up at 8 o'clock on Sunday nights. The Joe's Karting Racing Parts and Tire store going to be opening up soon over on 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs. Order your part, go race, come back. Your part will be ready for you to pick up, and you can head back and finish up your car. Boy, we have a big show lined up for everybody today. Race recap in turn number 1 for Atlanta. Then we're going to talk with Stu Snyder, Superman Stu Snyder. We got to sit down with him last Saturday, at the Precise Racing Products and Hoosier Great Plain Tire store over in Bennington. We get to sit down and interview a lot of drivers. And Dirk, we've got some really good interviews lined up for people over the next month and a half with Ari Scouten and Ryan Jenkins. And like we talked about, Stu's going to come up here in a little bit. Nick Woodard and Tracy Weber. A lot of great interviews. We talked to some drivers about getting their car lined up. So Stu's coming up in turn number 3, in turn number 2. And by the way, before I forget to mention it, if you want to see Stu, he's going to be at the World of Wheels Car Show March 16th, 17th, and 18th, and that's going on at the CenturyLink, right?
That's where it's always been. Okay. And have we got any contact with them yet to get some giveaways? We're
going to work on that, though. We're going to continue the year of giveaways. Today, we're going to be giving away an autographed Hoosier Racing Tire hat. It's autographed by Stu Snyder, so I figured it was appropriate. We're getting Stu on the show, so we'll talk about that coming up later on here in turn number 1. But, yeah, we'll continue our year of giveaways. We'll try to track down some tickets to that event coming up here in just a couple of weeks at the CenturyLink Center. Turn number 3, Andrew Kosiski. I'm not kidding. We got him. That's
what you keep saying.
That's what I keep saying. Andrew's going to join us to talk about his 2018 race plans. And then at turn number 4, we're not going to have much time for it because we want to make sure and give Stu and Andrew plenty of time to talk about their seasons. But we got a contest to announce, and we're excited about this because this is the earliest we've ever been able to announce our first 5-week contest. And I'll give you a little bit of a hint. You may want to book your hotel room to Kansas Speedway. I pretty much gave it away for anybody that has been a listener of the show for a while and has participated in this in the past. But those details will be coming up at turn number 4. I'll tell you what, the surprise we'll leave is who we're going to be teaming up with. So, turn number 1, let's do the race recap for Atlanta Motor Speedway. Dirk, I didn't think we were going to get this race underway.
They kept showing the radar, but then just like some of it just decided to fall off and rain itself out before it got there. And
yeah.
Then they were even talking, the crew chiefs were talking right before it got the official race part, which was at the end of stage 2, that they were racing to the rain.
Yeah.
And the rain never showed. They got the whole race in, and I like that. I know there's a few people like Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano that wish it would rain during one of their fuel runs when they were running 15 laps longer or 20 laps longer, taking one stop out of it, hoping for rain. But it never happened. Kevin Harvick didn't screw up, didn't speed on pit road or anything, and he kicked their tails just like he was kicking them last year until he got a speeding penalty.
Yeah, when you had messaged me that morning and said it doesn't look good today, I lay down on the couch and took about a 4.5-hour nap. I mean, I was sawing logs, and then I woke up to a notification on my phone, which was about an hour and a half old, that the green flag had waved, and I was like, oh boy, I missed the race, and so I turned it on, and sure enough, I didn't miss much of the race, just the first 2 stages, and I think I tuned in with about 135 to go, and I had enough time to get caught up on all the stuff that was going on. One of the stories that came out of that was the pit guns. Now, we've talked about this for a couple of years, about those pit guns that Joe Gibbs Racing had for the last couple of years, that it was a distinct advantage, and one of the cost-saving measures that NASCAR has implemented in the last couple of years, and it started with the 2018 season, is that that they're now giving pit guns to all of the teams. And a couple of the teams had some issues. I think the 78 was one of them that had issues with 2 of the pit guns they were issued from NASCAR. And then I think the 18 team might have had some issues, but eventually they got good pit guns. And so it caused a little bit of a little bit of a furluffle, if for a word that my grandma used to use, some issue with the teams and something to complain about. And the whole time I kept thinking, any Joe Gibbs Racing team, and obviously the 78 has that alliance with them, so they were enjoying the pit guns. They're obviously going to complain because they're not these way technologically advanced pit guns that they were used to.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea what Joe Gibbs was doing to him, but you could walk down pit road and before the race when the guys are hooking up all the airlines and they buzz these guns a couple times just to make sure everything's set up and working, you can hear the difference.
Yeah.
You know, it's you hear them compared to, one of the other air guns, and it's going a lot faster.
I mean, you could tell the RPMs were double, triple. I mean, it was that little advantage. And so that was one of the stories that came out of Atlanta, and I kind of dismissed it as, oh, boo-hoo. You know, you don't have that advantage anymore, and any team's going to complain about that. Doesn't matter if it's NASCAR. It doesn't matter anywhere you go. When a team has an advantage and the sanctioning body takes it away, they're going to complain about it.
Well, they had spent the money doing the R&D and developing it.
Yeah.
You know, the other teams could have kept up, and the other teams, Hendricks got the money, Richard Childress has the money, Stuart Haas has the money. You know, they just didn't do it or didn't want to do it or didn't think it was worth the investment. But now that we're 2 races in, I mean, I think I can actually go to the bathroom now at a pit stop.
We're seeing 14-second stops now, as opposed to we were starting to get down into the consistent low 11s. And so they've added 3.5 seconds onto those pit stops. So, yeah, that's been a definite one. And I don't mind it at all. I mean, it hasn't changed anything for me.
Well, to me, it should, level the playing field a touch. It's not going to level it a whole bunch because your small budget teams still aren't going to have the athletes that the big budget teams have.
Yeah.
You know, like Mark Wolf, who's a local guy here from Omaha that's actually employed by Stuart Haas, but I think last year, he was doing the 34 car on pit road. I think he was leased out. You know, and but I know I've been trying to get in touch with Mark because I want to see exactly how much this has changed his life, and otherwise I won't get to see him till Kansas City.
Right.
But we need to get him on the show and talk to him about it.
Let's get back to Atlanta. It ended up being a full race, 325 laps completed. Midway through, I think everyone, well, I don't think midway through, I think everyone knew it after day 1 of practice that Kevin Harvick was going to be a contender. He's been a contender the last couple of years, but he's gotten in his own way, whether it be him, the crew, something happened, some freak accident, it stopped him from getting the win, and he was just lights out again this weekend at Atlanta.
Yeah, it was just incredible. And they kept talking about it. And even Jeff Gordon was amazed because they put the telemetry up on the screen for his car. And in between where the little track was on the front straightaway where they're one of the Legends cars and whatnot, and the end of pit road, somewhere in that little area is where he was lifting off the gas and barely touching the brake, letting the chassis just roll through the turn, but he could keep it on the bottom, and he was so much faster than everybody else.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a contest, really.
By the way, I want to point out that telemetry has been available to fans for years. And now NASCAR has opened it up to where the teams now have access to it so they can see the telemetry in real time, and they're able to see a lot more now. So just a little bit of a side note, you're talking about that gas pedal pressure, the brake pressure, the angle of the steering wheels that's going into the corner. That stuff before this year was not available to the teams other than watching it on the TV, which I'm sure they did every once in a while, but now they do have access to that.
Yeah, and I mean, they've been showing that on the TV now for several years.
Which is kind of funny that they gave it to the viewers years and years ago, and now they're finally giving it to the crews.
Well, they were charging you for your race pass and all that kind of stuff, and now they've just decided, I think they're trying to get fans back, so that's part of their marketing strategy. But you said that you missed, the first 2 sections of the race. They started talking about this, and they went to spotters talking with their crew chiefs and their drivers. I know they did Jimmy Johnson and his spotter, and I think they did Brad Keselowski. But the spotters were going, well, he's letting off the gas when he just hits the dog leg past the quarter mile on the front straightaway, and he's somebody else says, well, he's off the gas long before the end of pit road, and one of them said, I don't see the nosedive, so I don't even know if he's using his brakes, and so then they went like lap after lap after lap, and Jeff Gordon was just talking about it. Well, look, right there, he is. It's right in there that he's letting off, and he's still not showing any brake.
It's just simply amazing. He's got that track down, and let's face it, if they repave that track, it all goes out the window, and he's got to relearn it.
He'll still go try it,
yeah,
and it still might work. So it may go out the window. You just don't know. But he goes down and runs through that bump in 1 and 2 like it's not even there.
Stage 1, Kevin Harvick gets the win. That is an extra playoff point for the 2018 playoffs. Clint Boyer comes home in that second spot. Brad Keselowski in third. Martin Truex Jr. in fourth. And Eric Almirola rounds out the top 10. Ford's very strong 2 races in. I realize we're 2 races in, whoop-de-doo, but they're surprisingly strong.
No changes. Chevy's got the new car with the Camaro.
Yeah.
So obviously they've got a learning curve with the body style and the downforce they're experiencing. Now, Toyota didn't have any changes either, but last year at the beginning of the year, the Fords were real strong too.
Yeah.
They won all the restrictor place races last year. This year, that's already been broken because the Camaro won the first race, but Harvick had Atlanta in the bank last year and then got hit with that speeding penalty late.
And we didn't see many speeding penalties this year. They got that figured out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they were taking care of it. They didn't want, especially Kevin Harvick when he was so dominant. He didn't want to lose a race like that. It would have been interesting because Larry Mack had said, normally we have caution within the last 25 laps here. And, the leader at that point is a sitting duck. If he stays out, everybody dives to the pits.
Yep.
If he dives to the pits, half the people stay out. And like Jeff Gordon says, if they've got more than 10 laps on their tires, everybody's coming in to get tires.
Yep.
Nobody's going to stay out because it was 2.5 seconds difference a lap after 10 laps on the tires, and that's incredible.
Stage 2 ended up finishing with Brad Keselowski as your race winner, picking up a playoff bonus point. Kurt Busch comes home in second. Kyle Busch in third. Joey Logano, good 4th place finish in stage number 2, and Kevin Harvick in that 5th spot. The race ends up finishing with Kevin Harvick picking up the win. 56 points on the day, 6 playoff bonus points, and then Brad Keselowski in second with a bonus playoff point. Clint Boyer third, Denny Hamlin fourth, Martin Truex Jr. fifth, Logano in sixth, Kyle in seventh, and Kurt in eighth. Then Kyle Larson in 9th and Chase Elliott in 10th. Let me redo that just to make sure I'm not too confused. Joey Logano in 6th, Kyle Busch in 7th, Kurt Busch in 8th, Kyle Larson in 9th, and Chase Elliott rounds out your top 10.
It's interesting to see where Kyle Busch finished up because they had an issue very early in the race where evidently their connection was bad on their track bar adjustment in car. And they said... Jeff Gordon said, well, he's going to have to stop and fix that, whether they change the fitting on the back, the connector, if it's just maybe slid off a little bit and isn't getting good current. But I don't recall them ever taking any extra time in a pit stop to get that fixed. But Jeff Gordon thought he would have to. And I do know there were a couple of the pit stops where he made adjustments on his track bar, and again, he was number 1 qualifier, so he had the first pit box, and it was definitely an advantage because there were several times when he'd come in 9th or 10th and come off the pit stop in 4th or 5th or 6th. So he was gaining ground on pit road like he always has, but it was the pit box selection this time.
Bad day for Darrell Wallace Jr. Only completed 319 of the 325 laps. He finished with 5 points on the day. Darrell Wallace in that 43 car. What happened with him?
There was a wreck late in the race. He was involved in it. Ricky Stenhouse was involved in it. Who else is right back there? Was
A.J. Allmendinger, Ross Chastain, Matt DiBenedetto, and Darrell Wallace, all 319 or 320. Cole Witt, 320. Jimmy Johnson, 321 completed.
Yeah, well, Jimmy was down. He smacked the wall earlier, and he was several laps down. And I think he just pulled off when he realized he couldn't pass anybody the last couple laps and got off the track for him.
Denny Hamlin, I was kind of getting to it earlier, but I diverted just slightly. Denny Hamlin and his crew chief, Mike Wheeler, came up with a strategy, and I think it was actually Mike Wheeler that came up with the strategy and just informed Denny, we're going to try and run this long and just try to get lucky with the stop, and because there's no way we're going to be able to catch and beat Harvick heads up, so we're going to have to out-strategy him.
Well, and Joey Logano's group was right there with him. They were chasing Hamlin down, and they stayed out. Everybody started pitting, I want to say with about 120 to go, and we're breaking it into 340 lap segments and getting the most out of their new tires.
Yep.
And Hamlin and Logano stayed out till like 100 to go and then ran another 50 laps. So they just did 2 pit stops, but they couldn't make up enough ground in that time.
Yeah.
If they'd have been closer, time-wise, as far as, seconds behind Harvick when that started. But there was one time that they ran all that extra laps, and when they finally pitted, they were only like 12 seconds ahead of him, and he just motored by.
Yeah.
And they put him a lap down. And it did make it interesting watching the race, because the first guy that did it in the first stage that pitted early was Casey Kane. He went 2 laps down to do it because he was far enough back that he lost 2 laps. But he came out and he drove by the leaders like they were in park.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so funny to watch that old tires versus new tires, how fast they go by.
Well, and they got to be careful, because you come up into some traffic and it can get kind of hairy, for those guys. But yeah, it was, like I said, it was 2.5 seconds a lap, 10 laps into the run, And so when Harvick would come out and he'd have on the fresh tires and be a lap down, in 10 laps, he picked up 25 seconds, on Denny Hamlin when he was leading. So I said it was like 12 seconds when Hamlin went to make his pit stop that he was ahead after he was actually, had Harvick trapped a lap down. If they'd have caught the timely yellow, the last 100 laps of the race, there'd have been 3 cars on the lead lap.
Thank God that didn't happen.
There would have been Hamlin, Logano, and Harvick.
Yeah. So Harvick does end up getting the win. He punches his tickets for the playoffs, and he jumps into that 4th spot for the points for the season so far. Joey Logano improves into that your points leader. Ryan Blaney falls back into the 2nd spot. Denny Hamlin in 3rd. Again, Harvick in 4th, and Clint Boyer round out your top 5. Just 2 races into the 2018 season. Quick points update.
A bunch, not a bunch, but some trouble with the new laser inspection station. They do have. I was watching, getting ready to watch qualifying, and they were talking about Truax being through for his 3rd time, where he ended up actually losing his car chief for the race.
And Cole Pern's statement when he came out and talked about it, he said, listen, our job is to push the envelope. I think he made it. He was absolutely correct. Their job is to push the envelope, just like your job as a former tech. When you were a tech official, your job was to say, you've pushed it a little bit too far.
Was to seal the envelope.
We're gonna set you back, and you're gonna come closer into this range. It's a give and take every weekend at these racetracks, and just because somebody's failing this inspection doesn't necessarily mean they're cheating. I hate that connotation. It simply means that they push the envelope a little bit too far. Now, there are certain areas where it's pretty clear.
No, I mean, if you can't pass tech, you've cheated somehow.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's quite intentional or not, I don't know. We've always talked, and we heard a nice oration last year at Kansas from Jack Roush about the wheel covers they put on. And they used to have little set screws. Now they've got a great big long deal that goes further into the wheel. So I think that might have helped that deal. I'm going to take a good look at it when we get to Kansas. Now we see exactly how much that has helped.
We don't know what happened with the 78. They never said anything. They only told the team. The team went through 3 times, still didn't pass it, didn't get to qualify. That NASCAR lost, suspended the car chief. No penalties came out later this week because NASCAR felt like suspending the crew chief, not allowing the qualifying, making them starting at the back of the field was enough.
Well, and they also lost 30 minutes of happy hour last practice. But they had said if he goes for a 4th attempt and does not pass, he's losing Cole Pern for the way. They didn't try the 4th time.
they went back into the safe zone.
They passed the inspection pre-race.
Right.
So, they got it right. I did think it was interesting, and it might be something as small as they put these discs, and they look like they were tape, adhesive discs, and they looked like they were about 12 inches in diameter, but they had like 3 of them on the windshield. And evidently where those are at, every car had to do it. and they probably don't have it pinpointed. That's why they're so big. But evidently, the lights and stuff that are in this new system were causing so much glare off the windshield and the back window. They had, I think, 2 of them on the back window and 3 on the front. But it was causing so much glare that it was upsetting the system. And I don't know how they hadn't discovered this beforehand, and they may have discovered it in Daytona, but I never saw any of these diffs in Daytona on any of the cars.
Okay.
But they showed them on several cars down there, and again, when we get down to Kansas, we'll be able to talk to some people and look at this. But everybody went through the system. I was surprised that they let the 51 car, and I don't remember right now who was driving that, but they let him go ahead and run the race, and before qualifying, he hadn't made any practice, and he didn't make a qualifying attempt. So he must have got on the track in happy hour, because they don't let you run if you don't have any practice.
Harrison Rhodes, there you go. And I believe that's the Ware Racing, I think, is who has that. And Ware's been around through the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series for years. He's got a couple Xfinity Series teams. All right, that's going to do it for turn 1. We'll come back in turn number 2. Superman Stu Snyder will join us. Andrew Kosiski around the turn in turn number 3. We'll come to the checkered flag in turn 4, preview Las Vegas, and we'll announce our 5-week contest.
And it's give it away now.
Yes, shoosh. Let's do that in turn 2. We'll come back. We'll give that away at the beginning of turn number 2. Then we'll play Stu Snyder's interview last weekend. We were at Precise Racing Products.
Sounds good.
We'll be back here on the front stretch.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Located just north of Bass Pro Shop, Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 100-plus people. Bachelor parties, corporate outings, team building, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.
This week's young gun is third-generation driver Andrew Tilley, who's following in the footsteps of his grandfather Ron and Uncle Jeff. Andrew kicked off his career behind the wheel of a go-kart. After picking up wins in the rookie class and a feature win at the Turkey Chase, Andrew switched to a late model in 2014. 2 years later, he finished 10th at I-80 Speedway and 4th last season, picking up his first career late model win and the Most Improved Driver of the Year honors. This season's going to be a big year for Andrew as he has a brand new Schwartz chassis. He's eyeing that bragging rights Grand National Late Model title as well as track championships at I-80 and Shelby. Andrew plans on running a few Malvern Banks Super Late Model races this season as he prepares for his rookie effort in the 2019 season. Someday he hopes to win the Malvern Banks Super Late Model Championship and start the feature at the Silver Dollar Nationals. Thanks to I-80 Speedway for sponsoring this week's Young Gun, Andrew Tilley, driver of the 56T Nationwide Transportation, S&H Tires, Teresa's Boarding Stables, and Sears Home Late Model.
The 2018 season is just around the corner for I-80 Speedway. The Go 50 and Silver Dollar Nationals featuring the Lucas Oil Late Models, Charlie Clark Memorial, Midwest Fall Brawl, I-80 Dirt Classic, and of course the best weekly racing featuring 7 NASCAR classes. I-80Speedway.com for race dates and tickets. Lock up your season passes by calling Lee at 342-3453. We'll see you April 6th for the Spring Meltdown featuring the Nebraska 360s and the Malvern Banks Super Late Model Series.
We're hooked up in turn 2 and still showing the green flag on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch, heading into turn number 2. It's just about time to talk to Superman Stu Snyder, but before we do that, Stu was nice enough to autograph a Hoosier Racing Tire hat. Nice purple-looking hat.
Brand new hat.
Beautiful-looking hat.
Never been on anybody's head.
Nope. Stu signed it for you, so if you're a Stu Snyder fan, you're definitely going to want to get 402-573-0590 dialed up on your phone and get ready to answer this question. It's a simple one because we want everybody to win. What car number does Stu Snyder drive when he's racing his 360 sprint car?
His 360 sprint car. He runs several cars for several peoples.
What car number does Stu Snyder race when he drives his 360? Not his 305, his 360. 402-573-0590. First person to call up with the answer to that question is going to win the autographed Hoosier Racing Tire hat. Autographed by Stu Snyder. Without further ado, we sat down and talked with Stu. Last year at the Race Saver Super Nationals, he had a heck of a run, but we couldn't remember if he came from the D or the E.
We had a good heat race. The track was kind of narrow. We just couldn't get a run. And then I think the last 2 laps, I went from last, and I think I got 2 cars. Thank God there was a yellow, or I'd have been in the Z. But and you'd have told me after that heat race that we were going to make the main event, let alone on Friday, and then tell me after Friday night we were going to be locked into the dance on Sunday, I'd have told you were crazy.
What were they taking out of every feature? Was it top 2?
Top 2 to get into the alphabet soup, but once they got into the top 9, top 9 took the first 3 rows of the feature on Sunday.
And you had a ways to go because when you would finish 1 or 2 in the feature, then you had to then start in the back of the pack of the next one.
We started at the back of the next one.
So you started in the back of the C, and you had to make your way all the way up into the top 2 to get into the B, all the way back up to get into the A.
Yeah, and it was crazy, and it was kind of neat. We had some other teams that were helping us out because, it was pull up into the pits, dump fuel in it, reset the tire pressure, and maybe change the left rear tire if you had time. If you didn't have time, you're right back out there again. It was crazy. I didn't think we were going to pull it off, but
it's fun doing that.
It was fun. It was fun, and it was kind of neat to be able to pull it off. Because my girlfriend at the time, wife now, and Robin, the team owner, leaned in and they told me, they said, if you don't finish 9th in this A feature, all those cars that I don't know how many I passed, Stan might know, but I don't know. All those cars that you just passed and those laps you turned were for nothing.
Yeah.
And it would have been.
Well, not necessarily because by the points, your final seed would have your final finishing position. If you didn't make it, you're going to be up toward the front of that next group of cars, for Sunday seeds in the feature.
I guess we didn't think about that, but I said, okay, we're just going to lock it in.
Yeah,
then.
They knew how to motivate you.
Yeah, I think that was maybe the thing. They knew how to motivate.
That's the second year in a row you've had some motivation to try to get in.
Yeah. The year before, we had an issue with fuel, and this year I had an issue with fuel at pre-tech. We can't figure out what it is, whether the tanks are getting moisture inside of them, but last year we got disqualified on Friday night after locking into Sunday's A-main. And then we had to run all the way back through the next night. And we actually had a better night on Saturday. We started last in my heat race, and I won that. And then we started 11th on the redraw for the main event. We ran second to Tyler Drucke, and we were locked in. It made for a longer weekend. Of course, you want to lock in the first night, just kind of hang out, watch the track, and watch some fast guys.
Or do you want to drive
and play golf?
Yeah,
Well, then you got the.
You take a chance.
Yeah.
There's another night, and this has turned into more than just a race, as Stan's saying. It's an event, and that driver introduction on Sunday night. That's exactly what drives us on Friday to like what I did this year, coming out of the E or whatever, locking in and knowing that I was in that driver introduction. That is the sweetest thing I have
with
seen.
The spotlights and the glow sticks and some of the Facebook videos that were, people from around the country that had never seen anything like that. The comments that they made, it's a pretty fun deal to do.
And you want to be a part of that. And there's only 27 of us that get that opportunity on a Sunday night at Eagle Raceway to be a part of that, and it's huge now. It's
out of 117 cars, which is,
that's what I was just going to say. Out of about 120 cars, 117.
Yeah, it's a huge deal.
Continuously growing, so it's getting even tougher each year.
Yeah, for sure. With the first year I did it, we made it kind of easy. We made it into the main event pretty easy. The track was, I think it rained, and we had to run a day show.
Oh, yeah.
And I ran all the way up to 4th.
Came back on Monday, right?
Yeah.
And finished that show out.
And we ran up to 4th, and then I skipped a year, and then we come back, and we've made the main every year since. I've made it every year they've had it, but everybody else's motors are getting a little bit bigger, and everybody's cars are getting a lot better than what they were the first year that this 305 deal came about.
I was going to ask you about that. That first year, the learning curve, I guess, and the quality of the competition has just, it's been incredible.
Yeah,
the first year you had to scratch your head just a little bit and say, these cars, they're not terrible, but boy. Yeah. Once people got the feel for it, it's taken off.
Yeah, and the engine builders, we're all still within that rule.
But They've embraced it though more, I think, in the last 3 or 4 years than they did those first couple of years too.
Yeah, those first couple of years, I think they were just throwing the motor together and it's 305 kind of deal. They're more bigger motors or mod motors or stuff like that. But it seems like in the last couple of years here, these motors have taken off, and I mean, of course, they're all still legal. Yeah. But they're spending more time on them.
Sometimes
and they're getting fast. and the cars that people own now and the amount of money that guys are putting into their operations, competition's gotten a lot stronger.
Right, and that's natural. Nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, no, that's how racing is. We all want to go faster, and we're going to figure out how to do it.
Yeah. Cubic dollars always run racing.
Yep. What's your plans for 18? I know you talked a little bit about racing the 23S, your primary car, but then you're also racing for Doug Lovegrove a little bit?
No, for Ron Love.
Yeah, Roger Love and Ron Love and Allie Love. They're basically, what's kind of cool about it was I started racing because of Ron. My dad was always there helping Ron build micro sprints back in the day. That's Easy Racing Chassis was owned by Ron Love.
Was your first car one of Ron's cars?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was a junior sprint, and it never made the track. I had started racing go-karts off and on for Mark and Sonny Schnook, or Sonny Manley and Mark Schnook, and there was one practice night. Ron Love was out there with his 600 multi, and he I've been growing up in his shop since I was 4 years old. And he said, "Why don't you hop in that thing?" So I hopped in it. I went out and I ran 25 laps, and I started getting faster than what he was doing. Same thing Trey did in my car. Mm-hmm. And then it was on. And then Dad went out, and we ended up buying a sprint car and just going directly into 360 sprint cars. So it's kind of cool to be able to step back into the same shop where it all kind of started for me as a kid and my parents, and with that family to be able to come back and run for them, and hopefully we can have a really successful year doing that.
And on the nights that you don't drive the car, Ron's still going to drive, right?
Yeah, Ron's going to hop in that, and I'm kind of trying to think about something of who's going to drive my car at the Nationals. Yeah, 'cause unless I'm in that and then somebody's in the 5, it really doesn't matter to us which one we're running, really. And then on top of doing the Love deal, the focus is the 360. With the Nebraska 360 series. Yeah. And running that and running Knoxville on the off nights, and I don't know, it's going to be busy. We put together a schedule, and I think there was 50 some shows on there, and a lot of them were the 360, with that being the focus. But the 305 deal, I mean, we've got two teams basically where we can flip-flop and run. Like the show down there that Stan was talking about the end of this month or March, we're running my car. And then the next night at Eagle, we're running the Love car. So it kind of, frees up a little bit of time, too. Yeah. You don't have to turn around and do maintenance on it and get it ready for the next night. But I'm excited for the Love deal. It's kind of cool. I was joking with him. I walked in there this week, actually, and we started putting the new car together, putting the seat in and stuff. And I looked up on the bulletin board that's been there for probably 30-some years. And there's a picture of a mini sprint that I tried to draw when I was 5 years old on my parents' first computer, and it's still hanging there. It was kind of neat to look at that and then to say, well, I'm driving that thing now, and I've won some races in sprint cars and won a championship, and we're gonna be fast.
Speaking of championships, talk about your history just a little bit. You picked up the championship down at Eagle Raceway for Eldon Roden, gave him his first ever. After I think 3 years of second place finishes with Terry Holloman behind the wheel of one of his cars, you hopped into that third team car, and that was quite an emotional deal, I think.
Yeah, it was. Eldon, we'd always known him and known of him, and then I got the opportunity to drive for him at the end of 2010 or 2009. We threw a car together and went and did some of the special shows, I think, down in Wichita, and had a really good run. And then he called me that winter and he says, well, we'd like you to drive full time for us in 2010. So we worked it out, and we had our engine with his car, teamed up with Terry and Tad, and it was really kind of a family-based team that had so much history and so much behind it that Eldon put in, had Eldon and Paula put into that deal. And then, 2011, we hit the ground running and started winning all these races and being, I think, when you made me that sign, I think we had like 35 top 5s or something between our whole deal or whole season. we have 5 or 6 wins, and we locked that championship up for him on the last night of race, and we had a rear end break in a heat race. I won the heat race, and I felt something when I shut the car off at the trailer. We didn't think much about it. Well, the time had went long enough to where we needed to put some heat in the car before the A-main. So we go to the push-off lane. It won't turn over, and I think something's wrong with the motor. Finally, Roger lets us fire it on the track, and it finally spins over and fires and starts. I pull back into the pits, and it's puking rear end fluid out of it. And they're calling for the Sprint Car A feature. And I'm sitting in the car, and I'm watching it idle, and I watched Eldon ask my dad what was going on, and I just watched the color drain out of his face, because here's another year and another championship where they were either leading or running second and had a shot, and it was going to slip out of his hands. And I think he's been doing it for like 50-some years at this point, and he's never won a championship, and the man deserved one. And my team grabbed a rear end out of Terry's trailer, because all of our spares were in the wingless car to go on the USAC deal after that week was over. We changed the rear end. They push us off. Luckily, Roger didn't send me to the back. He could have, because we made it on the track when they were lining up, basically, to go down the backstretch, take the green. And we ended up winning. We won that night, and then we won the championship, and it was just really special to do something for that man that had worked so many years trying to do it, and truly passionate and loved. There wasn't a person at the racetrack that didn't love the sport more than that guy.
Do you think that pushes you a little bit harder, is trying to win it for somebody else?
I think so, but I think that it's pushed me to, keep everything the way that Eldon wanted it, when he was with us. Now it's pushing me every year to keep that going, and to kind of, keep his legacy alive, I guess, as I'd like to say, just keeping it going, and it does push me, yeah. It pushes you to do it for somebody else more than it does for me, I guess. It's cool to say, I think we ended up 5th last year in the 360 points, missed a couple of their shows this year, and ended up 9th or something. But
by the way, we missed you at the banquet.
Yeah. You got me. You ended up getting my coffee cup.
Thanks for the mug.
Cool. I sent the picture to the wife that you sent me, and she's like, "Oh, you got to get that. You got to get that mug."
Yeah, I'm scared of your wife, by the way.
She's kind of feisty, for a short little thing like she is. She's fiery, but it was kind of the deal that then we started dating, and she's got the same passion I got, and she wants to see it succeed, and she pushes me a little bit harder. Like the deal at Nationals last year, coming through the D or the E or wherever we started, she pushed me to get it done. Go get the job done.
Racing weekly for the 305 at Eagle, and then hitting up some Knoxville shows in the 360, mostly the Nebraska 360 Carpetland Series, trying to hit as many of those. What else you got? 410 in the picture?
Not yet.
It's
early.
Well, those 410s, it seems like it's just a little bit out of reach for somebody to easily make that jump from a 360 to a 410. Stan was talking about how it's easier to make that jump from 305 to a 360.
Yeah.
And to go and try it out and test it every once in a while and see what you think about it, but it's so much tougher to make that 410.
It is. They react so much different, than even a 360 does, or especially the 305. We tried to do it as a small team that we are. We tried to do it, and we were doing pretty decent. It took a couple shows for me to get used to it. It took a couple shows to get the setups underneath the thing. And then we had a great run going at I-80 and puked a motor. And as a small team that we are, we couldn't afford to fix the thing.
And even if you didn't have any kind of catastrophic failure or anything on the motor, just the maintenance costs.
Yeah.
Where some people have gotten 30+ nights on the Race Saver engines. 20 to 25 nights is probably the max you're going to go, with a freshen. And on the 410s, if you get 10 nights out of them, you're probably pretty lucky.
If you get 10 nights without hurting something, you're lucky. And you're usually sending them back, and it's a bill. It's $10
the cost of the
$15,000 to freshen.
Right. You could build a new Race Saver motor for the cost of freshening a 360 or a 410 sometimes. So and that being said, if you do get that 410, you're probably on the budget end of the 410 spectrum. To where are you going to be competitive with the guys that are really got deep pockets? So It's almost frustrating before you start, you know.
We had a fresh Chevy Stanton that we paid $22,500 for from Tracy Hines, and we were really good with the NSL. And then we ran an outlaw show at Knoxville, and it was like you're out to lunch.
Yeah.
You know, we really were, and then that was when we were kind of starting to get things figured out. I think we timed in like 30th or 29th or something. When we were timing in with the NSL, we were in the top 15. You know, and then the last night it was alive. We timed in 6th out at I-80, and we had a great run going in the feature. I passed Brian Brown, and I passed Willie Croft out of California, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. We're actually fast. This is going to work. Maybe I'm going to prove to everybody that we could do it on this low budget team. And then it puked itself coming off turn 4. And that was the end of that.
Yep, that was it.
Yep, that was all she wrote of the 410 career. As far as me owning one, that's where that ended.
Then those guys passed him back.
Yeah, then they passed me back.
Planning on the Knoxville 360 Nationals?
We're tossing that up. You know, our focus was the 360 car this year, running that series, throwing in a ton of 305 stuff on the end of that. Plan was 360 Nationals in Knoxville.
Pretty good race going on down
Question
down
is, there's a pretty decent show that is at the Belleville High Banks the same weekend.
In the 305s, right?
It's 305 Race Savers. They're throwing in a huge purse, trying to keep the racetrack alive. And for me, that place was someplace we win every year, and I kind of grew up there.
Yeah.
And I've ran the Belleville Midget Nationals a couple times, 3 or 4 times now, and had success with that. We've tried to run every sprint car show there because I love the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard on engines, it's hard on cars, it's hard on drivers. But there's just something about that place that keeps people coming to it. And they lost the Belleville Midget Nationals. They're trying to get something in place of that. And I think this race is it. I think it'll help. I think it'll help the 305 Nationals at Eagle a little bit, even though it's already what it is now. I mean, an event. But it's cool. You're going from the biggest racetrack in the country, or one of the biggest, one of the fastest, and to prove that, okay, well, who's the big dog here? And it's got a great payout, a great purse. I think it's $7,500 or something to win on the final night.
7 to win, 1,000 to start.
1,000 to start. The prelim night's $25, and I think $500 to start. So it's the same way. Let's prove who's the biggest on a big track, and then a couple weeks later we can prove who's the biggest, baddest on a little track. So I think it's kind of neat, and it's cool that they're trying to keep that place alive because it needs to stay around.
So you're kind of leaning towards the Belleville versus the 360 Nationals.
So we're thinking that. You know, we had a great run last year at the 360 Nationals and come up short.
Yeah.
Realistically, as the owner of the engine and everything else on that side of it, you look at, I've got a chance to make the main event at the 360 Nationals like we did last year. We were close. We got a chance to make it this year. We got a chance to win Belleville. You know, we've ran in the top 5 down there every time.
What's
always won the heat races. We've got a shot to win that, and that's a heck of a payday for the 305 race. It's going to be a busy year for sure. 50-some shows, three cars.
Kid? You going to get a kid on the way?
Oh, Kendall, she's got a 4-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
I've stepped into the stepdad role, being the dad. You know, I think I'm good on that for right now. She keeps begging me, and now she's kind of got me talked into her trying, I guess. And it's like on a schedule, and there's these apps now with these smartphones.
Where they can tell when she's ovulating.
Was that what that text just was?
No, and a phone call too. I thought I'd sat here for a while, but I didn't know it was that time already.
Well, I'll tell
That's usually what happens. I hang out in the garage until she tells me I'm needed on that app.
Yep.
Then we're trying to build one, and that's what I always call it. I say we're trying to build a kid because that's just how I am.
Well, you can't have a kid during race season because you got to be at the track, not at a hospital letting a kid be born.
Exactly. So, she'd kill me if I missed that.
Here's how you can do this. If I did the math right, after you win the Belleville 305 race, you can get started on that and still get it finished in time for racing season to start the next year.
All right, we're going off that one. I'm going to tell everyone when I get home that we're going off Stan's theory, and that's the way that it's going to be.
It's amazing that we're even dumbing down a pregnancy and the creation of a child to a race schedule.
Yeah,
and building it.
It's a 6-year process of building a mud scraper.
That's what I'm going to call that. You sweep the shop out, that 4 or 5, and then mud scraper 6 or 7.
Stu, good luck to you. Can't wait to see you off
you.
the track, bud.
Thank you.
Catch him in the 23S, Stu Snyder. You'll see him on Facebook, and keep up to date with everything he's got going on. Thank you.
And also in the 5 at Eagle Raceway, the Ron Love machine.
Absolutely.
Thanks, dude.
In a world where speed reigns supreme, where discipline and danger collide, unpredictability is the one thing you can count on.
Jimmy Johnson, a night of ups and downs, and it's down again.
On May 12th, just one hero will triumph. No one knows which hero it will be.
He's going to do it again tonight here at Kansas Speedway.
Critics are calling it an unscripted masterpiece. If you see only one epic event this spring, make it this one. Kansas Speedway is the only place you can experience this kind of heart-pounding suspense. Witness a battle where drama lurks at every turn.
Up and into the outside wall is Ricky Stenhouse, Jr.
Coming soon to a track near you. The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Night Race. Only at Kansas Speedway, May 12th. Tickets at kansasspeedway.com. Rated U for unexpected.
We all have that coworker that runs their mouth off at how great they are. They shot a 5 under par, 95-mile-an-hour fastball, bench press 375, brah. Wouldn't you love to shut them up by schooling them at Joe's Karting? Council Bluffs' premier indoor karting track, professionally designed so each corner is your opportunity to embarrass your coworker. Call Buddy for your next company outing at 712-256-5278. Joe's Karting, white knuckle racing just across the river on 23rd Avenue next to AMC 17.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Feather the brake and get back to the gas. Dan and Dirk are headed into turn 3 on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Heading into turn number 3, brought to you by Kansas Speedway. Tickets for the May 11th and 12th race weekend featuring the Camper World Truck Series and the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series are available now. 866-460-RACE or go to kansasspeedway.com. Joining us in the studio, a guy that, well, you'll hopefully be down there, Andrew Kosiski. How you doing, bud?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
Good. You going to make it down for the race weekend in May?
I think we actually have to race that weekend, so I don't know for sure. I might come just for the race. I don't know if I'll come all weekend.
I know Friday night is I-80. That's one of the 2 or 3 nights I have to take off, but and then Saturday night I don't make it for Eagle, but I don't know if the Malvern Bank is out racing that night.
I can't remember if we're racing there or if I'm at Corning or Harlan, one of the two.
Got to race for those points, right?
Unfortunately, yes, you got to.
Well, let's talk about that. I know you had a pretty good 2017, but we're talking about 2018. And your year last year, struggled with your car, switched to your old one, found some speed, so went and got a new car, right?
That's what you're supposed to do. When you struggle, you find speed, and then you just wash it all away.
Right.
Yeah.
I was joking about this last weekend. We were at Precise Racing Products. You drivers just blow me out of them. I mean, you guys will work so hard to finally find a setup that works, and then at the end of the season, you go and sell your car and start all over again.
Right. I mean, I was with the same company for 4 years, Rocket Chassis, and it was time. Once I got the new car and it didn't fit me at all, I went back to the old car and I said, you know what, I got to figure something else out. And I had my mindset on what I have now, and I'm confident in it.
To your point, you have to upgrade cars because there's just things that they find, new places to mount things on those cars, new ways to build them that just naturally build speed.
Oh, there's so much stress put through that chassis with the twisting and everything that goes on that, you can't run them forever. That's for darn sure.
No, you definitely, and it's not safe either. I mean, when we race 50 times a year, I mean, to put 150 races on one car on a dirt track, it just ain't safe no more. And like you said, there's upgrades, things that need to be changed. And I thought I was making an upgrade last year, and I think it is a really good car. I'm not knocking it by no means. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah, and that's a real tough tough balance to find, because you got to find a crew that works with you, an engine that works well, and a chassis that fits your style.
Right.
Talk about that new chassis you've got then.
Right now, I mean, it's called MB Custom. They're Jimmy Mars, pretty good racer out of Wisconsin.
A lot of guys running them. It's not like you're the only guy. So.
No, I mean, in the late model world, there isn't as many as what I thought there was, but everybody seems to run good. Ben Shaler, he got one again this year, so we might be able to bounce some things back and forth with each other, and maybe not because we're still competitors, but I'm pretty excited. Everything seems to click so far. I've talked to them. They do their shocks in-house. Jimmy drives. AJ drives. I mean, everything is done in their building. I don't have to go anywhere else to get information.
How's winter shop without Joey?
It's going to be tough. It's definitely going to be tough.
And quiet.
Retiring a crew guy. It's going to be tough.
How many years was he with the 53 team?
Okay, so
slash the 2X
slash Soapbox Derby. I mean, he's not only been a friend my whole life.
Yeah.
Probably Soapbox Derby I did for 4 or 5 years before I started racing a late model for 14 years. So it's not going to be easy. I've been trying to find help, and I'm having a hard time. But I mean, there's times where he was working before in the past for the track. He couldn't go to all the races, and I figured it out. But it's going to be tough to do 50 races just me and my father-in-law. So I'm hoping I can find somebody else here soon.
Now, I'd send those applications to Andrew Kosiski, 53.com, right?
There, Andrew at Kosiski.com.
Yep.
If you know me, text me. I've had a few people ask. Not that I'm strict on what I need. It's just this is a team and we're competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, we try to run professional.
You've got to be picky, though. I mean,
you've got to be dedicated if you're going to pick up a job like this.
Something my company that I do in my full-time life really talks about is the culture of a group. And we've all been at that part-time or full-time job when they hired in somebody new that just didn't fit, and it was almost like a cancer in the whole group. It just ruined the dynamic.
Right. I totally understand that. I mean, just from sports teams I've been on, and one person can ruin everything. And I mean, I think whoever we bring in ain't going to probably ruin anything. It's just I got to have you got to show up once or twice a week. I'm not asking you to do a lot of work because you don't get paid either.
Right.
But I mean, you're not going to be paying for nothing either. It's going to be hard work, but it's a lot of fun. People don't understand how much fun it is to go to races.
Well,
and
once
get
it
to
gets
be a part of it.
Once it's in your blood,
Yeah.
you know.
Right.
I mean, and if it's somebody new that hasn't been around it but's got the mechanical aptitude and stuff, they might show up at the track and go like 2 nights and go, man, this ain't for me. And they might be a great mechanic.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, but if they don't like what they're doing, you know, it ain't going to help.
Plans for 2018, Malvern Bank Super Late Model Series, you're running full-time for that?
100%, yep.
Okay, you're going to be running full-time there. Weekly at I-80?
Weekly at I-80, weekly at Corning. That's right now. Now, if I only got 2 guys, I gotta talk reality here, because my dad come out to the garage again this week. He said, Andrew, because we talked about a race in South Dakota on a Thursday night that wasn't for anything, just to go. And he said, Andrew, if it's only you 2, are you going to be able to do it? And I think I'll be able to do it, but plan is to run weekly at I-80, weekly Corning, Malvern Bank, and then I have to do the Gold Rush. Well, I don't have to do the Gold Rush, but I will do the Gold Rush, so I have to go to Harlan at times.
That's the bragging rights, right?
Nope, bragging rights is for the Grand Nationals.
Okay.
Gold Rush is for the super late models.
There we go.
And I want to back up just a little bit, because you said something there that kind of sparked it too. It is more than a 2-man operation when you're talking about this, because it's more than just showing up the track, unloading the car, and going out running some laps. There's a lot of cleaning, setup, changes, adjustments, repairs. I mean, there's just way too much to do for 2 people to handle it.
Right. And I mean, when you're the driver, you need to be concentrated on what that track's doing. Is it changing? You need to see where other drivers are running. You can't be getting the car in the air, taking the tires off, scraping the mud, doing that. And then my father-in-law, I have him, and he's a motor guy, and I need to make sure everything's running crisp with him. And I mean, he's not old. He's 64 years old, but I mean, I don't want him getting up and down either.
Right.
I mean, I need some young kids to come by and help get the car up, get tires off. It's not hard work. Just we got to have. I need some help, and that's why I said I just got to make sure I can really do this.
Well, and it'll get you an edge for anybody that was thinking about checking Andrew out and trying to come help him out. It'll get you an education, in what dirt late model racing is all about. It's not what you think when you sit in the stands and you watch him come out every hour and run around for 20 laps, and maybe you see him in victory lane, or maybe you don't see him till next week.
And drinking beer after the race. Boy, that sure looks fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I tried telling a lot of them. I said, and I mean, the younger kids, I'm trying to find maybe like a younger kid that doesn't play any sports, that's looking for what to do on the weekend. Come to the races, you know. I mean, we go out of town for a couple days. I mean, racing is a lot of fun. I mean, there ain't no doubt. I mean, for how little work it is for someone to do. Like, I put a lot of work on myself because I don't want them. They're not getting paid, so I don't want somebody else to do all the work. I mean, I wash the cars. I try to do the hard stuff. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, you're not going to ask them to do something you wouldn't do.
Right, 100%.
Malvern Bank Series, again, we talked about that. Boy, that's really grown into something, isn't it?
Oh, man.
Did you ever think when they started it a couple of years ago that it would balloon to this?
I did.
I kind of thought it would get to be 30 and 40 cars at some races. I didn't think we'd be the highest car count average in country. Yeah. And I mean, pay is so good. What we get back is just unreal. I mean, it's only 200 miles around Omaha is what I think the radius they said it is.
Yeah.
And 400 to start the show, and it's like, I mean, I can do this.
Yeah. Yeah. The key is the 200 miles away.
Yeah.
That any series that would set that up and keep with that premise is going to do good.
Well, I know I've talked to your dad several times about it in the off season, and he had opportunities to add 5 or 10 more tracks to the schedule, but they were outside of that radius, and he just had to say, sorry, it's our guys don't want to drive that far.
I know he's trying to. I think he will get out of the radius here soon. Only way he'll do that is if we can get 2 and 3 day shows mixed in together
in one area.
Now it's 200 miles from Omaha. The guys that are racing in Norfolk, the guys that are racing out of Giltner, Nebraska. I mean, them guys are going 300 miles, but based out of Omaha.
Yep.
But it's
added to the schedule new this year. Knoxville Raceway. You guys are going to be there for I think the preliminary night for the
I think it's the main night.
Or you guys are for the Saturday night
series?
of the for the
Lucas Oil
Late Model Nationals. Thank you. Yes.
Yep. We are there for that because basically that race used to be a D, a C, a B, and an A, and now last year was a B and an A, and it's like I think they had to figure something out, and it has to be late models.
Yeah.
So they needed to figure something out.
Well, it lost a lot of fun because we just sat there and waited in between races for something to happen.
Well, no, we waited for the rain. Remember, it rained.
Was that the 410 Nationals I'm thinking of then?
Yeah,
the
rain last year.
There? Okay.
And I do believe they had a C feature, but they combined it when the weather was coming in because they moved up the B feature start, and then it started raining and sprinkling with 4 or 5 laps to go in the B. But it was raining pretty good by the time the B feature ended, and they didn't even go out and start packing the track till about 10 o'clock for that A feature.
Have you ever raced Knoxville before?
I'm not. I've watched my dad race there, and then I've been to the Late Model Nationals, of course.
Pretty excited about it, probably?
I am.
Apprehensive?
I just knowing, you got to understand, when you're working on the car and you're paying a lot for the car, that's just a big heavy, and they're going to throw us out there when it's the heaviest, the fastest, and it's just back of my mind. I need to get it out of the back of my mind that
it's
something could happen there. Engine wise, you're right. Engine wise, or even car wise. I mean, 'cause if you hit that wall, you're going to hit the wall a ton. There is no soft hit there.
Well, the good thing is it's not a wall; it's actually a guardrail, which is a little softer than a wall.
Right.
But the end result is you're going to break something.
Right, because we're not going to be. It's you hold wide open around there.
Big track for you guys to go to. What's some of the other tracks you circle on the schedule that you really enjoy? And we'll obviously say I-80's on that list, so we don't have to say that.
I-80's on the list. I really like Rock Rapids. It's a little drive for me, but I really like Rock Rapids up there. I like that 3-day swing. For some reason, I like the city of Sioux City a lot, so we go there, over to Norfolk, and then back up to Sioux City to race at Interstate. So, I mean, we're back Park Jeff. Denison was a great track last year. I was really surprised from a couple years before we went. It was a beautiful track last year, so I hope it's again. And we're back at Harlan. Can't think of anywhere else. I know we lost Winston. No, I mean, and like I said, that Thursday show is in Sioux Center. I've never been there. That's why I was interested in going. But if it don't happen, it don't happen.
Yeah. All right, you'll see him the 53. Is your website still up and running, or is the Facebook page the best place to go?
It's actually www.andrewkosiski53.com.
Okay.
You get any personal calls at work?
All the time.
Okay. So you can also reach him down at Kosiski Auto Parts.
People tend to come in and bug him all the time.
Ask for him by name.
Yeah. Are you looking to be in one of the My Race Pass guys? Any gear available on the website?
It just today got set up. I talked with Chris Krug today, me and Kara, my wife Kara. We talked with Chris, got set up. She got the schedule on there, and everything's good. And I think we got our T-shirts designed on there.
Speaking of that, God, did you get lucky with that one? I mean, she's obviously
with
a pretty
T-shirt
girl.
Design?
No, with Kara. Obviously a pretty girl, but man, she's really into helping you out and making sure things are taken care of.
Right. She and this year I think she wants to be involved even more. I think she sees that the struggle might be real with this year's race season, so she wants to help. I got her. She dismounted a few tires, and she didn't do too bad at it. I don't know if she'll be able to do it all year, but we got a little Jayco camper, so she's kind of excited we take the dog, and she could be more a part of it. But yeah, she was real big about getting the T-shirts, and I got a new design for the race car, and she really wanted something cool.
Well, and she's like you. She grew up around this, like you said.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, my father-in-law is my only crew guy right now. now. So,
well, I could definitely see her throwing a couple of tires around. She may be small, but I think she can handle herself pretty well.
Yeah, she's a lot stronger than she looks.
She's had to learn with dating you for how many years,
right?
And then marrying you for a while. So.
I don't think she's quite bulked up like Bobby Pierce's sister, though.
Oh.
No, and I don't know if I want her that tough yet.
Don't want her beating you up?
No.
Boy, I think we're on like a 6-show streak of mentioning Bobby Pierce's sister.
Nothing
and
wrong
there's
with
nothing
her.
wrong with that.
Okay,
there's nothing wrong with that.
Sierra, yeah.
Yeah, she's that one video that came out from was it Arizona where she was chasing that guy around the infield. That was pretty good.
I think he kind of liked it a little bit too. Although he was worried, but then he enjoyed her anyways.
Well, he started taking his shirt off. I said, "What the heck is this guy doing here? Is he gonna fight or what are we mud wrestling?"
Oh, I'd put 50 on her any day of the week.
Oh yeah,
she'd have knocked him out in the first round.
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah, need to get her in the MMA circle. Put her in the octagon
or the mud pit. All right, Andrew Kosiski, 53.com for more information. Is the 50 race schedule updated and ready to go?
Everything's updated except for if I go to that Thursday show. But schedules are they
tentative.
Can be changed. Yeah, they're always tentative. But I think every Malvern Bank race, every I-80 race, pretty sure every race that's on that schedule except Wheatland at the end of the year is probably tentative.
All right, man. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Sorry for it taking so long to get you back in the studio.
You're all right.
We'll be back here on the front stretch.
The 2018 season is just around the corner for I-80 Speedway. The Go 50 and Silver Dollar Nationals featuring the Lucas Oil late models, Charlie Clark Memorial, Midwest Fall Brawl, I-80 Dirt Classic, and of course the best weekly racing featuring 7 NASCAR classes. I-80Speedway.com for race dates and tickets. Lock up your season passes by calling Lee at 342-3453. We'll see you April 6th for the Spring Meltdown featuring the Nebraska 360s and the Malvern Bank Super Late Model Series.
Hey, look at that. You're sitting on your couch playing Halo, Madden, or NASCAR while your friends are at Joe's Karting. Each lap is an adrenaline-filled, heart-pumping, white-knuckle experience that you can only get at the Metro's largest indoor karting track. Eco-friendly Honda engines rip you around their professionally designed road course at breakneck speeds. Can you reach the 14-second lap bracket? There's only one way to find out. Put the controller down and get to Joe's Karting, 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs next to Quaker Steak and Lube.
It's checkers or wreckers as we enter turn 4 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Just about ready to wrap this baby up. Rolling into turn number 4, brought to you by the official watering hole of the front stretch. All of today's action at Las Vegas Motor Speedway will be on the big screens at Quaker Steak and Lube, as well as your favorite wings, best burgers, delicious steaks, and cold brews. Coverage is on Fox and on PRN starting at 2 o'clock today, and I believe the green flag waves a little bit after 2:30.
And after you've got your courage up after a few brews and you've been bragging how you're faster than your buddies, and you walk across the street to Joe's and settle it all.
Hey, really quickly, I want to preview today's race at Las Vegas. This was the race last year that started that whole Joey Logano, well, I shouldn't say started, it continued the Joey Logano-Kyle Busch feud. Remember coming down the last couple of laps, Brad Keselowski was a lap car, or about to be a lap car. I'm pretty sure he was a lap car, and he was slow along the backstretch, and Joey and Brad were fighting for position, and Joey tried to pin Kyle behind Brad. Kyle dove down to miss him, slammed into the side of Joey. So Joey drove it hot into turn 3, slid up the track, washed into Kyle, and guess who got the rough end of that, or the fuzzy end of that lollipop?
Yeah, one of them started it, one of them finished it.
Yeah, so then Kyle decided he was going to restart it and walk down pit road very angrily, and there's some footage on YouTube and all across the internet of Kyle trying to land a haymaker, but the end of it all, I loved the interview with Joey and said, did Kyle land any hits? And Joey says, not on me. Yeah. And you see Kyle, and he's got blood running down the side of his face. Who knows if he actually got hit? Some people that were actually there said that they think it was the splitter of the 22 that did that damage to his face. But
well, it could have very well been one of the officials grabbing him, somebody's fingernail. I mean, who knows what happened? But there's a couple big officials, and they're big for a reason.
Right. And let's just face it, who knows if anything's going to go on today? My money is no. These guys usually wait until it's the pristine time to pay somebody back. It's not going to be at the exact same track a year later. I don't care what Fox says today. It's not going to be a retaliation race.
No, not at all.
These guys have probably settled it out, but don't be surprised if there is still a little mix-up between these two, because both of those guys are hard drivers that we love seeing. Well, they'll push, they'll use the chrome horn to get their way into the front.
Yeah, there won't be any love lost if it's coming down to the last final laps, and with what we've seen so far, if it's coming down to a stage win, you might see a little bump and a nudging going on, but definitely with 2 or 3 laps to go, if they're coming for the checkered flag, it's game on.
Again, coverage today on Fox and PRN. All picks are due by 2:30 Central Time for Las Vegas. I believe it's the Cobalt Tools 400. Make sure you get that pick in on time.
Or better yet, just fly out there and enjoy the race.
There you go. All right. We are really excited to be able to announce early our 5-week contest. In the offseason, I was told by some fans that we need to do more of these, which was a big surprise to me. But we immediately got to work, and we talked with Kansas Speedway. We got approval through them. So we're going to work with Kansas Speedway.
New marketing people down there.
And they're very excited to work with us on this contest. Again, it's like they said, it's simple. The fans love it. The teams love it. It's easy for the track to execute, so it's a no-brainer. And we're excited to team up with our new friends over at Starcom Racing and the 00, driven by Jeffrey Earnhardt. So here's the contest if you've never done it before. We'll play a 5-week fantasy league, and if you're the person with the most amount of points at the end of the 5-week contest, then you're going to get 2 hot passes for the entire weekend. Not just one day, not just another day. It's the entire weekend. So get down there Friday morning. I believe our winners showed up last year at 8 a.m. They're ready for this contest.
Well, but it was the truck race last year, so it was just the Friday race that they had the passes for. They had the grandstand tickets for the Cup race on Saturday. You're going to be able to watch this year. You're going to be able to hang out on pit road and watch the truck pit stops. You can watch the whole race down there. Now, just let me tell you, it's not a great place to watch the race.
Right, because you only get to see about, 20%, 15% of the track?
And you're seeing it with the teams in the way, and, you're kind of bundled up. Me, I usually I do my lug nut thing like I do, and then I go sit in the media center where I can sit down and watch it. Now, they do have in the fan walk, you can get into the fan walk with your pass and sit down and watch it on the big screen right there and actually see the race. But if you want to see a pit stop up and close, you're going to be able to do it. Then you're going to be hanging out with Starcom and the Jeffrey Earnhardt crew on Saturday night, but you'll have all day Saturday when they do you'll be able to see their qualifying. Well, they'll qualify on Friday.
They'll do everything on Friday. You'll push the car through tech inspection. You'll hang out with the team. You'll eat with the team. We've already scheduled a meet and greet with Jeffrey Earnhardt. It's going to be pending the winner's availability, but you're going to hang out with the team at the hauler. You're going to be able to. They're going to let you hang the pit sign, like we got to do at Iowa Speedway. So you'll be able to dangle the pit sign for the 00 team. Just make sure you dangle it so Jeffrey can see it.
There'll be somebody there babysitting you.
But then you'll get race radios during practice, qualifying, and the actual race so that you can listen to the crew chief, driver, and spotter communication as they're building their strategy and get that 00 up front. It is a whole
new look at racing.
And there's a lot of downtime, too. So while the Cup Series is down and the Truck Series is on the track, you can go and watch the Cup Series do their stuff. You can walk through the Cup Series garage.
Maybe try and snag an autograph or two on a hero card.
You can walk out to the front grandstand and the concourse and go and enjoy all that stuff that is on display. The Monster Energy shows, the girls, the 2019 displays. I bet those cars will be on display. There's a lot of things you can do with these hot passes. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th are all going to win a pair of tickets each to the Truck Series race on Friday and the Cup Series race on Saturday.
So if you've had any luck with these contests and been close before, you might want to go ahead and book your motel room. I don't know if you want to take the time off work yet or if you're going to have to call in sick, but book your motel room for Friday night. You can come home. There's plenty of time after the race Saturday to drive home. I mean, the race should be over roughly 10 to 10:30.
Yep.
Or you can book for 2 nights. Just make sure you get a room. If you go through like Booking.com, which is a site that I personally use, most of the rooms have a free cancellation 24 hours in advance.
Right.
So you're going to know a week or two ahead of time, probably at least a week ahead of time, and, whether or not you've won the contest. So you've got time to cancel your room if you don't use it.
Here's the best part of all all of this stuff is free thanks to our good friend Rick Havenridge at Wealth Partners. He's putting up the fees to run the contest on NASCARPoolsOnline.com, so we're able to do this for free, and it's a big thank you to Starcom Racing for partnering with us on this so that we can give you that experience. And again, thank you to Kansas Speedway for granting us the passes. Here's the deal. The contest, you can sign up for the next 2 weeks, and it starts with race number 5 at Auto Club Speedway, and it concludes with race number 9 at Richmond Raceway. I got to get that figured out now because they've rebranded it. The contest is based off the Monster Energy NASCAR Championship driver point system that NASCAR awards each driver. Easiest thing to do, if you want any questions, you want to get more information, email us right now, frontstretchradio@gmail.com. I can't tell you enough. Do not wait until the Sunday of Auto Club Speedway to sign up for it because you're going to get behind the 8 ball. This is only a 5-week contest. You only get to pick one driver each week during the entire 5-week contest. And don't be late because you miss one race and you're out. I mean, there's no way you can make up those points.
And it's separate from the season-long race.
Absolutely. So the picks you make in the 5-week contest do not affect the picks you can make in the season-long and vice versa.
And if you haven't used the driver in the season-long contest and you want to use the one driver in both contests, you can most definitely do that.
Absolutely. These are 2 standalone contests based on the same system. Again, the contest will start with Auto Club Speedway on March 18th, and it will conclude April 21st with Richmond Raceway. Must be 18 years or older and a legal U.S. resident. That's another big one that we have to make sure to point out. It's really simple. Who has the most points wins the garage passes and gets to be a crewman for a day. You and your friend will head down to Kansas Speedway for 2 days. I'm going to tell you, I loved seeing the expression on the winners last year down at Kansas Speedway for the October race when we got to work with Matt Tift and Joe Gibbs Racing. I cannot remember the husband's name right now, but he just stood there and just said, I can't believe what all goes into this. I mean, look at a single team, the amount of people that come and go, the handlers, the crew, it's just amazing. And then you look at what NASCAR has to bring, it's just amazing.
You're going to get to, I'm pretty sure, we were able to work it out at Iowa Speedway, but the winners at Iowa last July got to go to the drivers' meeting, which is always something that's neat. You can hear exactly what goes on there because they always talk about it on TV. Well, they were told that at the drivers' meeting. So you'll be able to see exactly what goes on at drivers' meeting. I will do my best to line you up with some other meet and greets. Now, these guys are busy, so I might not be able to get anybody, but I do know some of these drivers. Last year, I was able to take them around, and I introduced them to Brendan Gaughan and several other drivers, that I know personally, and I know some of these guys in the Cup Garage, and we'll do that if we can.
Yeah. You're going to have free reign. You're not going to be stuck to the hip of the 00 team. When there's some downtime, you can walk through the garage, and maybe you can run into a Richard Childress or a Richard Petty or a Brad Keselowski and a Denny Hamlin and those guys that are walking around in the garages. Your hot pass gets you into that garage at times when it's typically not available for most fans. So again, if you want to get registered for this, frontstretchradio@gmail.com. You have until March 18th to get signed up for the contest. And the way to do it, just send us an email, frontstretchradio@gmail.com. I'll get you all the information via that email. All right, a big thank you to Starcom Racing for helping us out with this, Kansas Speedway, and of course our good friend Rick Havenridge of Wealth Partners for allowing us to put this contest up on a website and allowing it to be given to you guys for free. We got to wrap it up for today. The picks, again, due by 2:30 today for the Las Vegas. Make sure you get your picks in on time.
Hey, with the 5-week contest, do we have the pool name for that yet?
Not yet. I got to get it set up online.
Okay.
So now that this is going to be airing, I've got it. By the time this airs,
now you've got motivation.
Yeah, by the time this airs, it'll be out there,
and an email will be out to everybody.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to do it all again next weekend. Dirk, I can't tell you enough how busy we are. We'll recap today's race at Las Vegas for turn number 1. Adam Armstrong will join us in turn number 2. McKenna Haase, sprint car driver over at Knoxville Raceway, will join us in turn number 3, and we will preview the track now known as ISM Raceway, formerly known as Phoenix International Raceway. A big show lined up next weekend. Please do join us again next Sunday morning at 8 a.m. for the Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
Have you ever watched NASCAR, dirt track, or IndyCar and thought, I could do that? Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs is the place to put your money where your mouth is. Races fire off every 10 minutes, so what are you waiting for? Get to Joe's Karting on 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs, next to the Mid-America Center, and find out how easy it is to drive a race car. Each Joe's Karting car is powered by an eco-friendly Honda engine capable of a 14-second lap. That's if you're as good as you think.
The official watering hole of the Front Stretch has you covered any day of the week with the best wings, great burgers, and amazing steaks. Each weekday from 4 to 6 is happy hour, featuring $1 off draft and well drinks plus $4 Luberitas. Mondays are kids' night. Tuesdays are all-you-can-eat wings for $12.95, and the lube even delivers to the Council Bluffs area. Like Quaker Steak and Lube Council Bluffs on Facebook for a full list of weekly events.
Get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Mid-America Drive, Council Bluffs.
Soon the flowers will be blooming, and we'll all be busy enjoying the beautiful Midwest spring. With the arrival of spring, we all know ridiculous summer heat is just around the corner. A simple preventative maintenance plan from Eccles Heating and Cooling can make sure you're as cool as a cucumber during the hot summer months. Call Pat today for your preventative maintenance plan, or ask about a new energy-efficient TempStar HVAC. Eccles Heating and Cooling is there for you at 402-331-1755.
This has been the Front Stretch Radio Show, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. To contact Dan or Dirk, find them on Facebook at The Front Stretch or email them at frontstretch590@gmail.com. If you missed any part of today's show or want to hear a previous show, subscribe to the Joe's Karting YouTube page, where you can find almost every Front Stretch show.